So as we've seen when we go to our doctor, most of the time they're on their computer. They're looking at the note they're about to create for you for that visit. While they're listening to you, they're taking down information. What we've discovered is that a lot of physicians will take your medical records and already have them filled out with all the information on there already. That's called a template. That's a progress note that essentially has 90% of the exam already written down. Now, what the doctors are supposed to do is go back through and change the information that would be specific to you. But what we found is that they often don't do that. Oftentimes, that is a shortcut for them to take your visit and shorten it by not asking you the questions, even though the answers are supposedly down there in your medical chart. Why are they doing that? Because insurance reimbursement pays them, generally speaking, for only spending about 15 minutes with you. So when you go to your doctor, the doctor is going to see you and examine you and only get paid for about 15 minutes worth of time. What does that mean? That means they've got to rush through your visit. They don't have time to fill out your medical record completely from start to finish. That's why they use the template that's already filled out with your exam. How do your lungs sound? How does your heart sound? Do you have a cough? Is your nose runny? That's already all filled out on your chart. What we have found is that the use of templates and the rushing of the physicians through this 15-minute window they're paid for leads to multiple medical errors. They're not paying attention to you. They're not asking all the questions that are down on the form that they're supposed to ask you. And more importantly, they're not thinking because they don't have the information that they should have gathered by asking you the questions by going through your chart. As a result, what we've seen in areas that are high for template use, emergency rooms, urgent care visits, primary care or family practice visits, or pediatrician visits, is that they're missing some significant diagnoses that end up leading to someone dying or someone having brain damage or someone having, unfortunately, paralysis. Probably the first thing we do is obtain your medical records to evaluate your case. When we look at the progress note, we understand that the physicians are most likely using templates. So what do we do in that setting? Everything is on a computer, including their template. So when we file a lawsuit, one of the things we ask for is production of any and all templates that they use. We also get what's called an audit trail. That gives us a specific listing of whoever was in your chart on what day and what time and what they looked at and what they did. In that instance, if someone were to go back and try to erase their template, we would see that they did that. And so at the very outset, we get your chart, we read the notes. If we're suspicious that the note wasn't filled out correctly or accurately, then I have an indication that potentially they just copied your note directly from the template. As a patient, how can you safeguard against template use? Well, there's a couple ways. One would be if it's an important visit, if you're significantly ill or it's something you don't think the physician has been listening to you about, bring another person. It's always very helpful to not only have a second set of ears, but someone who knows you well and can be an advocate for you to engage the physician in additional conversation. We've seen often with a trusted friend or family member in the visit that it sparks the physician to be more engaged, to ask more questions because they have to answer more questions. Another way to ensure that you haven't been the victim of template use or overuse is to go home, wait for that record to pop up on your MyChart, which we all typically have, and to review that record right away. If you see that significant things were left out, you've got a couple choices. You can call the office and ask to speak to the physician directly, or you can schedule another visit and make sure that they've addressed the issues that you see that were left out of your template. In those ways, you can ensure that you're getting the full medical care that you paid for, but more importantly, that you deserve.